Thank you so much. It's an honor. I've been hyped for this day. I've been like straight up like when Megan called, like she reached out and she was like, "Hey, can you come out to one of our Revive nights?" And of course, I'm like, "Oh, well, what is that? That sounds hype. Whatever it is, I'm down." And man, I'm glad it worked out. I just want to say, I I went to a Bible college, and I kind of understand where you guys are coming from. But I want to let you know, being on this campus, God is doing something on this campus. Straight up. You guys' leadership, I got to meet with Micah, Megan, and her husband, and Pastor Phil, and even your president. They have a heart that truly cares about you and cares about your spiritual environment and your spiritual well-being. Like, seriously, all the conversations I've had with them has been around you guys and how they can serve you guys in their vision for you guys. It's an absolute honor to be here. Give it up for your ministry leaders, like, straight up. Well, I want to start off to let you know a little something about myself. I am the Chi Alpha campus pastor at Missouri State University. If you don't know what Chi Alpha is, it sounds like a fraternity sorority, but it's a campus ministry. It actually stands for Christ Ambassadors. We feel like we are Christ Ambassadors, and we're basically like a church on secular campuses all across the country. And there's actually amazing Chi Alphas here in Washington. It's really good. They're spread out throughout here. And we really feel that God has called us what we feel is the most strategic mission field, the university campus. And we're there to reach students. And we have a privilege here in America where the nations are coming to us. And we have an opportunity to reach students. I've seen students from China accept Jesus. I've seen Muslim students accept Jesus. I've seen Hindu students accept Jesus. And I've seen amazing things happen. God is moving on the college campus, and we believe it. We believe in what God is doing in young adults' life. We believe in the vision that God has for you. Believe in that, students. God has a great plan for your life, and that plan activates now. It doesn't activate later. So I'm excited to see the great things that God does in your life. Again, I'm married. My wife, her name is Candace. I'm originally, although I live in Springfield, Missouri now, but I'm originally from New York. New York in the house. Anybody from New York? Yeah, it's like, one is like, yeah, New York. Another person's like, I got a cousin from New York. So that's where I'm from, and my wife is from Arkansas. Yeah, there is a God. He does amazing things. We have 3 daughters. So I have my oldest, Eliana, and then Lila and Lena. So 3 girls. So not only has God called me for campus ministry, but I'm also a dean of women. I run a women's dorm. So I'm very good. I've learned how to give tons of hugs and respond with sounds like, aw, come over here. So I'm really good at that. So it's awesome. My girls they have a great calling of God. They're leaders, man. They believe in, like, they're on fire. They're very determined, because like when we're like, you can't have that snack, and we turn around and they're like snatching it like from the pantry. I'm like, Lord, use that for missions. Like, let that smuggle some Bibles into some, like, bro, use that. And sometimes, like, they do, like, they're such hustlers, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, sometimes I'm like, no, you can't have that. And they'll hustle me. And sometimes I'm like, yo, give props, yo, get that cookie, bro, get it. Like, you got it this time, girl, you got it, go for it. So I have, and for me, I'm big, I love being around people. I love meeting new people. I really feel like relationships is a thing that motivates me. And deep down inside, I really feel that's something that motivates everyone. Like if you think about it, like you are alive because some sort of relationship. Like think about it. The only way you can survive in life is that there is somebody that has some sort of relationship with you that had to nurture you, because there was a time you couldn't feed yourselves. For some of you guys, you're still working through that. You're like, food, where, calf? All right, there. I go, I eat. Like some of y'all are still working through some stuff. Some of y'all, come on. Some of you freshmen, you came in, you didn't know what the like laundry was. You thought that was like hiking, like you going laundry? I'm going laundry. Let's go, man. I got my gear. Let's go. It's like, no, that's washing your clothes that you go hiking with. Oh. So, but like there was a moment in your life, there was a season in your life that somebody had to nurture you, that there was some type of relationship that had to happen. So within your DNA of survival, there's a relationship. I really feel that like in God's design for us, that wasn't a coincidence. Like he was like, oh, okay, well, guess we gotta have a relationship for this to happen. Like he actually embedded into our hearts this want and need for a relationship. And because of that, I love to look at scripture through the lens of a relationship. Like it literally, I'm like, I can't get around it. Like the scripture, the Bible, who God is, becomes alive in me, right? When I understand it through the lens of a relationship, because like relationship influence us. Like it really do. We do stuff because of relationships. Like for some of you guys, like you've gone and you've watched some pretty crappy movies because of relationship. Come, let's be for real. Some of you guys, your friends, you all getting together like, what are we gonna do? Oh, we're all gonna watch this movie. And in your head, you're like, man, that's the dumbest movie. Like, and they're like, come on. You're like, I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to drop $12 on this movie. They're like, dude, it's gonna be cool. Come on. And you go knowing in your head, like, this is gonna be the dumbest movie. Like, and you go and show up and you go and you watch the movie the whole time. You're like watching the movie like, yeah, told you. Like, and at the end of the movie, you walked up to your friend and be like, usually like bad movies are the longest movies forever. Like they draw it out. I feel like the director's like, it's bad anyway. Let's make it 3 hours. Just go. What's an extra hour? Let's make it happen. It's just gonna be bad. We're gonna be great at bad. And like you're sitting there and you're done with it and you're like, thanks. That's 3 hours of my life. I'll never get that back. It's gone. It's forever. I can't make that up. Thank you. And they're like, I thought it was pretty good. And you're like, man, you just sticking to that because you have me burn $13 for this, okay? But like relationships influence us. Like we do stuff because of relationships. Like it truly does. Some of you guys, like, you've been to sports games and you don't know anything about sports. But like your brother is involved in sports, or your cousin, or somebody you know, or a friend of yours. Some of you guys even come geared up. You come with signs. You paint your face. You don't know nothing. You don't know the difference between a touchdown and a home run. You don't know. But you show up because your brother's there. Like you're identifying colors. You're like, oh, red, blue, which one? Blue, yay. You don't know, you have to like confirm with the person next to you if this is like, is that good? Yes! Run in that direction, continue. Like, let's be for real, like cheerleaders exist because of you. Like if you know about the sport, you don't really need cheerleaders. I don't need a cheerleader to tell me when to cheer. I know the system, okay? My team scores, I cheer. They don't, I complain. I know. Right? I really feel they need to have cheerleaders just strictly for refs. Like, they are good. They're doing their best. Like, oh, no, they're up. It's really hard to judge. It's really hard. You know, it's a split decision. They don't know what to do. You're like, okay, all right, thanks, refs, appreciate it. You know, some of you guys have been to recitals and you've sat through plays. You sat through a whole entire play just so your friend or your brother or somebody you have a relationship can just walk out for a few seconds and go, would you like a cup of tea? And you're like, oh, man. You sat through 2 hours. And at the end, you've gone up to him and been like, dude, when you came out and said, would you like a cup of tea? I wanted tea. You did really good. That was really good. You've heard like renditions of music and instruments you didn't even know existed. You sat through songs that you will never hear or know to hear or ever will hear again, but you did because you have somebody you knew, you loved, and cared for there. You've heard instruments that like the piccolo. You guys are familiar with the piccolo? This is an instrument, guys. Most of you are going, what's the piccolo? You're normal. If you're not familiar with the piccolo, okay, a piccolo is basically a flute that a hobbit would play. It's basically, I feel like one day somebody's playing the flute and somehow they encounter a hobbit and they're like, how about me? And they're like, all right, piccolo. Like, they're like, piccolo, yo, let's go, piccolo. You know what I mean? You can't jump in a band with a piccolo. It's not like you'll be like, hey, what's up, my dude? You got a bass player? How about a piccolo player? Let's go. No band is like, all right, it's going to get down, and the piccolo comes out, and everybody's like, yeah. But this instrument exists. And you sat, you heard it, like, you know? You're like, what is that? Is that instrument? Or just somebody just like go crazy on the chalkboard? What was that? And you sat, why? Because you know somebody and you care about that person. Relationships influence us, right? And even Jesus himself made a relational move, right? He was in heaven and he came down to earth to be with mankind. This was a relational move. He made statements like, if you know me, you know the Father. Even the terms that he uses are relational terms. Father, my son. You see, and we have to understand, like, this is important. So when we look at Scripture, we look at it through the lens of a relationship, and it comes alive because Jesus said powerful things that he constantly unfolded his mission. And for some of you guys, you even experience hurt in your life because you've taken on an endeavor or you've taken on a career path and you haven't had support from people that you have a deep relationship with. And you've experienced hurt because of that. You see, for us, like, the closer we draw to God, the closer we understand his purpose here on earth. And throughout Scripture, he revealed that. He talked about that. And I love the passage in the Scripture I'm about to share was actually, they read it this morning. It was like, when I looked up, I was like, all right, God, you up to something. Like, you're always up to something. Right? So, like, there was a great question that was asked to Jesus, a powerful question, right? And in Matthew chapter 22, verses 35 to 40, he kind of unfolds this, okay? In 35, it says, one of them, an expert in the law, tested him with this question. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus replied, love the Lord of God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. The second one is like this. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the laws and the prophet hang on these two commandments. Wow, there's a solid question. Even though his intentions was wrong, solid, right? Why? There was over 600 laws at that time. Just imagine living your life with 600 laws over you. Like, so this dude is like, yo, let's narrow this down. What's the greatest one? Right? He asked for one, but Jesus gave him two. Why is that? Why did this man ask for one, but Jesus gave him two? Like, was Jesus, like, into infomercials before they came out? Like, Jesus is like, you asked for one commandment, for a limited time, you get two commandments. Like, why did Jesus give him two? The reason why, because you can't separate them. Listen, if you say you love God, you love people. You can't separate. You can't say you love God and you're angry and you hate people and you walk through life with anger and bitterness and distrust towards people, because when you love God, you love people, period. It's like somebody walking around is like, I love swimming. I just love swimming. I just love getting out there. It's awesome. It's great exercise. I just hate getting wet. I can't stand it. Oh, getting wet. Oh. It's like, listen, my dude, you don't like swimming. You're in denial. Like, they can't just be separated, right? These two cannot be separate. And we have to understand something, right? In the relational understanding, we have to understand something. This would be like somebody coming up to me and going like, hey, Andy, yo, dude, I love you, man. Dude, I just want to say, I love hanging with you. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. Every time I'm around you, man, I feel like, man, so much joy and stuff. You ever had somebody compliment you? You're like, yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And then, like, they stop. But one thing, man, I can't stand your family. Like, straight up, man, your kids straight up annoy me. Like, oh, man, I can't, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you ever felt that about your kids? Because I do. Like, and your wife, oh, man. So here's the deal. When I invite you, it's just you. Right? Please do not invite your family. We'll just keep it between us. Here's the deal. You don't love my family, you don't love me. Like, I'll be like, yeah, I appreciate, you like to hang with me, but here's the deal, dude. You don't love me. Listen, we can't walk this earth saying we love God, but we treat his children like trash. It just can't happen. We can't walk this earth saying we love God, but we treat his children like trash. It just can't happen no more. Right? They cannot be separated. In this understanding of having a relationship with our Father, we have to understand his mission and his purpose and the reason he was here on earth and the things that he valued and cared for, because the closer we draw to him, the closer that those things draw to us. Because relationships cause us to have passion and desires for things in our life. Like, this is something I commonly do. I'm just going to be real for you guys. Your boy goes to playgrounds all the time. Straight up. And here's the deal. I like going to playgrounds because I have 3 daughters. Like, I'll come home sometimes, right? It's a sunny day. There's literally a playground just a couple houses away from my house. I'll see that. It's a sunny day. I pull in. I walk in the house. They're still at the age that they're happy when dad comes home, right? And they're like, Daddy. And I'll get on one knee. I was like, guess what we're doing? And they're like, what? I'm like, we're about to go to a playground. Let's go. And they get all hyped. They're like, come on. And we go to a playground, and I push them on the swings. I'm going crazy with them. I love going to playgrounds because I have daughters. But I'm going to be for real with you guys. If I'm hanging with my boys on a Friday night, let's say we get away, have a guys' night. We're like, yo, what's up, my dudes? What we gonna do tonight? Nobody pops out and goes, I haven't hit the monkey bars in a while. It just doesn't happen. Like, I'll be like, what, dude? Yo, get out of here. What? Bro, I like going to playgrounds because I love my kids. In fact, if you're at a playground with my kids, you don't have no kids, nobody you know there. You're just there by yourself. Stay away from my kids. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just play over. Because the only reason that will make it logical for you to be there is that you have a relationship with somebody. You see what I'm saying? Their desire, their passion literally is infused with my heart. As we grow closer towards God, we start to understand his heart and his passion. You see, there, the story of Peter, and I don't want to assume that you're familiar with the story of Peter, but Peter was one of the disciples. There were like 12 homies that rolled with Jesus, right? They just, wherever he went, they went. They're like, what's up, where you going? I'm there. And the disciples, like Jesus, like poured his life into them. And there was a moment that they had, right? Jesus was walking this earth, and now it was time for him to die on a cross. And it was just like a moment that was hard for the disciples to receive. And even Peter, like when Jesus said, hey, like, I'm going to die on a cross, and you guys are going to scatter. Like, you guys are not going to receive it well, right? He predicted Peter. Like, he was the loudmouth of the group. You ever have that friend, you're like, yo, shut up, man. Just shut up. Go. Be stupid, go. That's Peter, right? So Peter steps out, right? And literally, he's like, I'll never do that, man. I'll never. No, we'll stay there to the end, man. I got you. This is why Peter's denial is recorded very well. Because if you think about it, you're writing about it a couple years later, you're like, oh yeah, Peter. You're like, I remember that. You know what I mean? Nobody else is recorded because everybody's like, oh yeah, I got you. I'm going to stay quiet on this. Peter was like, So like, obviously, like Peter denies Jesus 3 times. Not one. He went 3 times, right? And it happened. He has this, just realizes what he's done. And it's a low moment. You have to think about, like, the disciples were following Jesus. You know what I mean? They have momentum of the crowd, which is their safety. Like, now their leader is dead, and they're looking for them. They're next. They know they're next, right? So you can understand why they're scared. They don't know what to do. They're trying to eat, so they go to what they know. They're like, we're going to go fish. Like, we got to get some food, right? They're out there. They're fishing, right? And it's not going well. You got to think how low this moment is, right? They're like, bro, we got nothing to do. We're out here fishing, and now I can't even fish. Some of them are professionals at this. They're like, okay, Matthew, no, just cast it out on that side. Oh, man, look, I just got it, bro. Bro, you just go collect taxes or something. This dude's annoying. Like, it's just not going well, right? So all of a sudden, they're probably just floating there. They're just done, right? And they yell, they hear somebody yell from the shoreline to cast their nets out. Again, so they're like, I don't know, out of discouragement, they're like, whatever. They probably think it's somebody else. Like, they go and cast their nets out, and they start pulling the net, and the net is full. Now, them being professionals realize that they're witnessing a miracle. It shouldn't happen. Some of you guys might know this, right? But the top of the water is getting warmer, okay? The way they were fishing, the fish get lower. If they're casting nets, this doesn't work. You shouldn't catch more fish, and the net is full. But Peter remembers that this moment happened before in his life. And right away, he realizes that it wasn't some rando yelling from the shoreline, that it was Jesus, right? And he has like a Forrest Gump moment. I don't know who's watched Forrest Gump here. He had literally a Forrest Gump moment. The homie notices that it's Jesus. It's like Forrest Gump seeing Lieutenant Dan for the first time. Right, he turns around, sees Jesus, like Lieutenant Dan, He goes there, he's like, Jesus, he just starts swimming. just straight, just going at it. He leaves the nets behind. Like everybody's up like, dude, this boat's about to sink. He don't care. He goes straight for Jesus. He realizes that it's Jesus over there. And they go and they eat and they have this incredible moment. It's an incredible moment where him and Jesus have a conversation. It's in John 21, 15 through 17. They have this conversation. In verse 15, it starts off, then they had finished eating. Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? Yes, Lord, he said. You know that I love you. Jesus said, feed my lambs. In verse 16, again, Jesus said, Simon, son of John, do you love me? He answered, yes, Lord. You know that I love you. Jesus said, take care of my sheep. Listen, like we understand, Jesus asked a lot of questions. Jesus asked a lot of questions. When people say that when you read the Bible, it just tells you what to think, then if that's the thing, then why is Jesus asking questions? He would just tell you, right? Here's the reality is that the words of Jesus not only are spirit-filled, but they awaken the truth of God in you. So when Jesus is asking a question 3 times, we better pay attention because this question wasn't for him to know, but for this truth to be discovered in Peter's life. So a third time, in verse 17, a third time, he said to him, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter was hurt because Jesus asked him a third time, do you love me? He said, Lord, you know all things. You know everything. Look at me. You know everything. You know that I love you. Jesus said, feed my sheep. Peter, do you love me? Feed my sheep. I really feel culturally we misinterpret this. Like we read it all the time, but culturally I think we see it through a different lens. I feel like culturally we feel like Jesus is saying, do you love me? Feed yourself. Right? Because that's how we respond. Like we go to churches like, I'm getting fed here. This is helping me. We don't think of ways that we can impact the kingdom or how the kingdom can just impact us. Right? Like one of the things that we have to accept in American culture where we like to be catered to. And a lot of times, I think culturally, it's about feeding ourselves. It's not about feeding God's sheep. You see, just because you're here today doesn't mean that you are part of the mission. Just because you're here today, it could mean that you still are the mission. We have to know God's heart. You see, when we draw closer to God and we fall in love with him, we have to understand, like, as we fall in love with God, right? If we walk this earth knowing that the greatest relationship we can ever have is with our Creator, it's with Jesus, right? If we walk this earth saying that we love God, right? If we live this place, if we made moves, if you said, man, I'm going to Northwest because I feel like that's where God is calling me to. I feel like if you're walking this earth trying to identify what God is trying to do in your life, if you walk this earth saying that you love God, then you love his mission. If you love God, you love his mission. It cannot be separated. It cannot be taken apart, right? It's just like that passage. It's like the greatest commandments. Love the Lord of God with all your heart, with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. And he clarified who's your neighbor in Luke, right? He said everyone is your neighbor. If we love God, we love his mission. It is a part of us. It is through us. We connect with it. We embrace it. We live it out in our lives. The greatest way to show God's love is to other people. Like, if we ever stand before God and show an account or talk to him about what we did in life, I don't think he needs to know an account of our lives. He already knows us and knows everything. But if we ever dialogue with God of things we did for him, we will never look at him and be like, God, I love you. I love you so much, man. I love you so much, I bought myself a new car. It was a nice car because your boy loves you. What up? Right, what does it say? It said, if you've done it to the least of these, you've done it unto me. If we love God, we love his mission. And here's the deal, students. That mission is activated in your life once you accepted him. Listen, if you think that mission is going to be activated when you receive a degree, if you think that mission is going to be activated once you go into your career, if you think that mission is going to be activated tomorrow or the next day or a great opportunity or the time you have influence, listen, the mission of God doesn't need your status or your money. What it needs is your heart. God's mission is activated in your life instantly. Perfect evidence, Matthew. Jesus saw Matthew, said, come follow me. Straight up the tax collector booth. The most traitor thing you can do back then. The most dishonorable thing you can do that thing. And I ask you, he started following Jesus at that moment, started doing God's mission. When did Matthew become a believer? When did it go from Matthew the tax collector to Matthew the gospel? I don't know. But I know that he instantly followed Jesus and God's mission was activated in his life. Because when we love God, we love his mission. Listen, students, how's that mission in your life? What is the evidence of God's mission and purpose in your life? Like, do you have playground moments with God? Do you have moments where you do things not because maybe that is your thing, but that is God's thing, if you know what I mean? Has that mission activated? Or do you have dreams that are really good for tomorrow? Do you have dreams that are really good when you get your degree? Do you have dreams that are activated later, or those dreams can be activated now? I ask you, what are the steps you can do today to activate God's mission in your life? Because if we love God, we love his mission. Man, next week, man, they're going to be talking about missions here. Next week, opportunities that you can get involved. Convoy Hope is going to come. They're going to be talking about ways that you can get involved. I know I've been talking to Megan. I know sometimes there's videos of churches that play that you can partner up. Man, get involved in those churches. Be a part of God's kingdom movement. Be a part of what God's doing. I know that there's a group that goes downtown and partners up with Reach Ministry and reaches the homeless there. Come on, this is your city. Right? You're believers. You're not going to see people starve. You're not going to see people be hungry. You're not going to see people be lost. You're going to take on God's mission, because when we love God, we love his mission. I stand before you today because it was a church who took on God's mission. There was a church who started a Christian drug and alcohol program. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's called Teen Challenge. And so many crackheads and drug dealers went there, and their families went, that they didn't know what to do, and they started a church. And one day in my life, over a course of time, my brother became a heroin addict. He started selling drugs, then he did drugs, and then the habit became stronger than the business, and it took over his life. We didn't know what to do. The truth came out to my family, and we did everything we could. We put them in detox program after detox program. We put our money together, literally thousands of dollars, and nothing was working. And one day he was at a rec center exchanging workout machines with this guy, and he finds out that he had a drug problem. Like, how'd you do it? And he told him about Teen Challenge. Man, we weren't believers at all. We didn't care what they did. We were just like, yo, get in there. After 2 weeks, I can go visit my brother at the church. And you guys, I don't know what's your church background. You know, some of you guys come from churches that look like super church. Like you walk in, they got like stained glass, they got the cross. You know, you walk in, you know where you're at. You're like, what's up, church? Let's go. Like, you know, like the building was designed, like whoever designed that building is like, that homie was like, I am a church designer. You know, and there's some churches, you're like, what is it? What? Do they make cardboard here or they have church? Like, what do they do here? That was my church. It was like in the middle of a warehouse. It didn't have no windows. It had one door. You know, me and my mom, we don't go to church. We pull up. We're like, what is this place? My mom sent me in for recon. Like, she was like, go find out. I'm in the parking lot. Dark as what? No lights in this parking lot, okay? And I'm like looking through the door, like hitting angles. I come back and report. I'm like, they're singing. I didn't know what was going on, right? But we sat there and we would wait for people to file out, right? And then we'll walk in and just seeing the transformation in my brother's life. And seeing this church just love and embrace me. The youth group just loved and embraced me. I'm going to tell you, dude, I was messy. Bro, there's times I would come in reeking of drugs. There's times I walk in, my knuckles bloody because I just fought somebody. I lied to them. I cussed them out. I did everything. But you know what? They had God's mission in their heart. Bro, those times they'll be like, they'll come by and go to pick me up, and they'll be like, I won't show up. I'll be like, yo, I was out. I was doing stuff. Like, I was unlovable, but they still loved me. Why? Because they love God's mission. Man, I accepted Jesus, and I was still messy. They loved on me. My spiritual father, Ernest Will, loved on me. I ate all his food in his house. I ate it all, man, every food. He'll come in the fridge. He's like, who ate my leftover? I'll be like, I ain't going to pee to this, so I'm going to be quiet. And they loved on me. I stand before you today because a church loved God and his mission, loved me through my evilness, loved me through my hurts, loved me through my pain, to the point where God called me to ministry. I went off to Bible college, messy and all, and God did a great work in my life. I am a product of God's mission. I am a result. We are a result of God's mission, because when we love God, we love his mission. If the worship team can come up. Students, if you can stand up. I don't know what church background, like I don't know if your church made you stand up or nothing like that. Nothing spiritual about it, just you were sitting down and now you're standing up. Just... that's the logic behind it. And, but like, I want to let you know something, like, that you have to understand. I don't know if, you know, you felt like maybe you were overlooked, or maybe you in life, you don't, you know, God's purpose maybe hasn't been told to you, or you've maybe never heard something that, you know, shared in your life that has like activated stuff in your life. But I want to let you know, like, God has a clear purpose for you. I remember when I accepted Jesus, it was at a retreat. I went, and I remember I ain't know nothing. Like, I didn't know nothing. The guy spoke, Jesus hit me. I went up. I'm up there. And I feel hands like touching me in my back. And I had no clue. I thought like when I felt hands, I thought that was people going like, bro, come on, we got to go. So I was like down. I was like, oh, my bad, I'm ready to go. They're like, no, we're praying for you. I'm like, oh, yeah, my bad. Yeah, go, do your thing. But I found out that there was a God who had a purpose for me. Like I cling to the streets, like anger was the thing that fed me. And I found out that there was a God who loved me past all that his purpose and mission was to reach my life. And it like activated something so real, God's purpose for me. Listen, I want to let you know, maybe God's purpose hasn't been activated in your heart. Maybe you haven't even thought about it, but I want to let you know, the day you were born, God had a purpose for you. He truly loves you. There's no way you can interact with God's love and not interact with his purpose. Listen, part of God's love is infused with a great purpose for your life. And I want to let you know, I know some of you guys maybe struggle in life, or maybe you've gone through stuff and you're questioning, I don't even know if God loves me, Andy. You don't know what I've been through. I got perfect evidence that God loves you. Listen, for us to understand God's love, we have to understand who the creator of love is. Right? God is all-knowing. He is all-powerful. He is eternal. Right? Like even scientists, the theory of relativity talks about how the universe is ever expanding. I think that's a reflection of the creator who made it. And his love is all-knowing and all-powerful. Listen, the very fact that you have been created is very evidence that his love is for you. The very fact that you have been created by a perfect God means that he loves you and he has a purpose for your life. He knows what you did. He knows what you're gonna do. He knows what you will forever do. And that mere fact means if he ever loved you, means he will for always love you. And his purpose is real in your life. And that purpose is activated now. I end with this. You see, if we think about it, right? Jesus had 12 disciples. 12 disciples. 12 humans. Like he didn't have 12 angels. He didn't roll around and it was like, yo, Jesus and the 12 angels, bro, they were fire. They had like superpowers. They were like holy avengers, like straight up. Like he didn't have 12 animals. He didn't roll around with like an elephant and a tiger. Like, like you need to accept me, like rah. It's like, okay, I got it. I got this. Yeah, I'll do it. Whatever you say. Like he had 12 humans. Like think about it. Listen, I want to let you know something. You're not plan B. You're plan A. You're not an alternate plan. Listen, for this area, for Washington, for Seattle, for Kirkland, for this area, you are the plan. You are the one. We are called to take on his mission. As we grow closer towards God, he empowers us. Listen, God believed in empowerment. God believed in discipleship so much that he left. Think about it. He believed in his spirit. He believed moving through us. He believed that we can partake in his mission. He believed in plan A so much that he left. You can't interact with the greatness of God and not be elevated, not move forward, and not be compassionate for his mission and his purpose, because when you love God, you love his mission. And students, I ask you, how is that mission being expressed in your life? Are your dreams or dreams of tomorrow? Are your dreams that need to be activated today? When you hear ministry opportunities, or when you hear opportunities to go on mission trips, do you let them pass by? Do you think about your studies, or you think you'll be activated when you get your degree, or you say God's mission is for me now? Because when I love God, I love his mission. Convoy Hope comes here. Man, they feed kids. Kids will not go hungry on my watch. Because when we love God, we love his mission. There's churches that are dying for children's pastor, for volunteer. Man, we're about that. Why? Because when we love God, we love his mission. How is that mission happening in your life? I stand before you because somebody loved a punk kid that was unlovable and was so compassionate about God's mission that they looked through my lies, my deception, my dark heart, and literally loved me. Do you know that mission? If the prayer team can come up. Students, I encourage you to dive into this. Listen, I know there's people walking this earth without no purpose. They thought that their degree, they thought that their career, they thought that the next level would activate freedom and peace in their life. And the only thing that will ever activate peace in your life, the only thing that will ever activate your future and your purpose is for you to dive into God's mission. And some of you guys are like, man, there's so much I don't know. You qualify. In fact, I'm gonna be honest, as a campus pastor, when somebody comes up to me that knows stuff, I'm like, man, okay, later, my homie. Bro, there's too many people out here thinking they know stuff. Listen, don't worry about knowing, worry about being obedient. Dude, listen, don't worry about knowing, worry about being faithful. Listen, God needs your faith more than he needs your knowledge. God's not going to this earth like, man, I wish somebody knew something. Gosh, creating this universe, I wish somebody else would know. No, he needs your faith. He never looked at somebody, he's like, you're healed because you know. No, he said your faith has made you heal. Listen, students, I know some of you guys are like, man, I don't even know what this is, man. Will you take a step of faith? For some of you guys, man, I don't even know, man. I'm probably even struggling with my walk with God. Maybe you need to come up here and secure that. Maybe you need to be like, you know what? I'm gonna do a Matthew step right now. Like, I kind of know Jesus. I'm kind of in limbo with him, but I'm gonna walk with him. I'm gonna get behind him. All right? I'm gonna discover what he has for me. Would you take that step? Would you activate God's purpose and God's mission for your life? Because when we love God, we love his mission. And here's the deal. I'm going to count, not because it's a race, but, it just gets awkward. You don't know when to come up. You know what I'm saying? You're like, is it now? Like, you going? Okay, let's go, right? So here's the deal. There's one of the things I like to do. One of the strategies of the enemy is to make you feel alone, like you're the only one. So here's the deal. Some of you guys, you've been hearing this message, and you're like, yo, Andy, I'm ready. And I don't even care if other people know, man. I'm ready, yo. Listen, I needed this. You straight hit me upside the head. I'm ready. Right? And I don't care if other people know. And listen, I just wanna lift any strategies of the enemy. If that's you and you say, hey, Andy, I don't care if other people know, but if me raising my hand will make somebody else feel comfortable and will give them the courage or the understanding to come up, man, I'm down. If that's you today saying, Andy, this message spoke to me and I'm ready for prayer, raise your hand. Raise your hand across the room. Raise it high. Come on. You're not alone. Come on. You're not alone. You're not alone. Listen, you're not alone. The enemy tries to make you feel alone. God has a purpose for you. That purpose starts now. So here's the deal. The prayer team's going to be here. You can tap your friend. You can pray with your friend. right? You can do what you can come down with your friend. You can tap a teacher. You can tap the president, whoever. You can tap me and be like, yo, what's up? You've been talking a lot. About time you pray. Let's go. All right? You guys ready? You guys ready? All right, on the count of 3. 1, God has a purpose for you. 2, if you love God. 3, you love his mission. Come on, man. Receive prayer right now. Come on, let's intercede for God. Come on, let's shake things up, students. Come on. Come on, you're not alone. Come on. You're not alone. Tap your friend, come up. Maybe you want to pray with your friend. Maybe somebody that's in your life that you're like, man, I feel comfortable sharing this stuff. Let's start activating this stuff. God's mission, God's purpose is real in your life. God has a purpose for your life, because when we love God, we love his mission. Come on, students, let's worship him.